Yeah, so this is the rumored slim iPhone. We were right on the name. It is iPhone Air, although it is not iPhone 17 Air. It's just iPhone Air. I think a friend of the show, Sam Henry Gold, did some spelunking on the Apple website and actually found a few references, like in the HTML code, where they refer to like images and alt text as iPhone 17
Right.
Air.
So
So
weird. Why did they
it
drop
might
it?
have been a last minute marketing decision there, but yeah, the iPhone Air, it measures just 5.6 millimeters thick, making it substantially thinner than current models. It has a titanium body rather than aluminum, probably for like the additional structural rigidity to make it that thinner, much thinner. And they still say it's like the strongest, or no, I forget exactly the superlative they used, but either the strongest or like most durable iPhone they've ever made. Like this, although it's so thin, like, we'll see how Bendgate affects this phone. But yeah, it's super durable. For a comparison, the iPhone 16 Pro is 8.25 millimeters thick, while the base iPhone 16 and 16 Plus are 7.8 millimeters. Even the iPhone 6 measured 6.9 millimeters thin. So
And
this
that
is
was the
much
previous
thinner.
thinnest one, is that right?
Yeah, that was the previous thinnest one. So this is substantially thinner than like the previous thinnest
I've seen
record.
it's about as thin as an old iPod Nano, right? One of the old Nanos.
Yeah, the last Nano they made that was kind of like a tiny iPhone. I really want one of those, by the way. But yeah, it's about as thin as that. It's not quite as thin as that, but it's about as thin as that.
Okay, I think I've got one with a swelling battery that I can sell you with a bunch of other Apple junk for your collection.
Sure, sure. So this model gets ceramic shield on both the front and the back. And they have a new ceramic shield 2 that they say is like, what, 4 times more scratch resistant. And the ceramic shield 2 is on the front, so the glass isn't going to be as scratchy. Internally, basically, the entire phone and all of its components are in what they call the iconic plateau. So
Have they ever? Did they use that term before? I don't remember hearing that, but maybe they did.
plateau as a term is what they like internally used to refer to that bump, and I think in some like in like the big long document that shows all the exact precise dimensions and specs that they send to like camera makers or no case makers, they referred to it as the plateau, but it wasn't really something that they used publicly before. But I feel like this goes along with dynamic island and all these other new terms. Like Apple wants to give a term to everything to avoid it being stuck with a negative name, which I
Notch.
think, yeah, like Notch. Notch is the canonical example. Notch.
Camera bump.
Yeah. So now it's the plateau and the
Yeah.
dynamic island.
Feels classy, doesn't it? It's a plateau.
Well, it's not just a plateau; it's called the iconic plateau.
Yeah. So basically the entire phone lives in there. I mean, that was the open question. We were like, well, on the Pro phones, the camera bump is going to be bigger, probably because they have some fancy camera stuff going on in there. But why is it on the 17 Air? That doesn't make any sense. Well, this is the answer. The entire phone is in there and protrudes out a little bit.
It's
so that they
insane,
have
isn't it?
room.
It's amazing miniaturization. I mean, that was the biggest surprise from this whole thing. I think that they managed to cram the entire guts, the computing guts of the phone into the plateau.
Yeah.
It's crazy,
yeah.
and the rest of it is just battery and screen.
I think it's an open question as to where the taptic engine is, because that usually works better on the bottom half of the phone where your hand is, so that you feel more of the vibration there. I don't know if we know that yet, or maybe somebody hasn't dissected Apple's like 3D imagery of it yet. But yeah, another question people had was like, well, if the camera bar is sticking out that far, is the phone going to be really top heavy? Because that would be kind of uncomfortable to have. But I mean, I've been thinking about it. It's probably the battery is probably going to be the heavier part of it, and so having all the battery weight like in the lower 3/4 might offset the extra protrusion on top. So again, we'll see that when we have it in our hands. The display size is halfway between the regular phone and the big phone. So it's 6.5 inches compared to 6.3 and 6.9. Single 48 megapixel rear fusion camera, just like the iPhone 16e. As far as I know, I don't think they made that many improvements to their rear 1x lens this year. I don't remember them. They didn't really talk about it that much. A lot of the camera improvements are the front camera, which we'll get to. The telephoto lens on the Pro phones, and the regular iPhone 17 gets the improved ultra wide camera, but not really anything new on the 1x camera, if I remember correctly. The front camera is an 18 megapixel square sensor, so because it's square, you no longer have to like physically rotate your phone
Yeah.
vertically and horizontally.
Yeah.
That is excellent. That is an
Right.
excellent
This
feature.
is probably some of the best camera improvements is that front center stage camera, and the stuff they're doing there.
Mm-hmm.
The new selfie camera that looks really really sweet.
I'm very excited to try that out. In terms of accessories, we have an iPhone Air case with MagSafe, which is the thin, translucent one that's under a millimeter thin in the back. You know, the whole thing about that phone is like, you know, oh, you buy a super thin phone, but you have to put it in a case. Well, this case is still only like, they described it as being under a millimeter thin. So if you think about it, even if you add that case, you'd still be thinner than the next thinnest iPhone ever, because that would be what? 6.6 millimeters thick, still thinner than the iPhone 6. So you can put this thing in a case and it'll still be thinner. That's kind of crazy. You have a bumper case with a, quote, reinforced polycarbonate design. The interesting thing about this bumper case is that the camera protrudes beyond the edge of the bumper on
Does
the
it?
back. Yeah. Apple has like one promotional image on their, you know, when you go to buy the case on the Apple Store where they show it from the bottom and you can see,
Right.
yeah, the camera protrudes beyond the border of the case. So I think that was a question we had, like, you know, how would it work? I was thinking, well, maybe the bumper would get thicker on like the top edge of the phone since you're not really touching that area anyways. No, Apple doesn't want to blemish the beautiful design of the thin uniform bumper. So
Yeah. I wonder how that's going to work. I mean, maybe we can get a bumper for the camera bump, a bump for the bump of the bump.
yeah, additional bumper. We have the crossbody strap, which is made from recycled yarns, and Apple describes it as draping comfortably around you with embedded flexible magnets and a stainless steel sliding mechanisms, so that you can adjust the length and keep both of like the straps like snapped together, so there's no like, you know, dangly bits around that. Crossbody straps, I'm told, are very popular. Have you seen a lot of people wearing these styles of things?
I've seen a few, yeah, and definitely more popular more recently, yeah. You see people out in the wild.
Yeah, one of the videos or something they had was like of a guy getting on a bicycle with one of those things on. I was like, I don't know, it's an odd look. I was wondering how many men are going to be using the crossbody strap. And
I mean, we have pockets, so that's not a concern for us.
yeah, I mean, most of the people I've seen using these things, it's been when I've been on vacation. See people, you know, tourists. It's perfect for if you're a tourist. You're walking around. You got this thing. You know, it's always there. You don't have to dig it out if you see something you want to take a picture of.
I've heard somebody say like it's harder to you know, get your phone swiped out of your hands if you're wearing a strap. You know, pickpockets, they can't just like, you know, grab it off of you because they'd have to pull it off your shoulders. They can't just like grab it out of your hands and like go running down the street.
But
like,
doesn't
you know,
it? Does it attach magnetically though? I mean, it's just going to pop right off. It's going to be like.
So it clips into the corner of the case to your phone, so that part is secure. The magnetic part is the fact that like the strap attaches magnetically to itself, so that it isn't all like loose and dangly.
Oh, I misunderstood the whole thing. So it's actually secure, somewhat secure.
It is secure. Some of the Apple cases, I don't know if they've actually said which ones, or they don't make it obvious. Some of the Apple cases, like the TechWoven case and the 17 Air clear case, have like holes on the bottom that you can loop lanyards through. So, I mean, the advantage there is that you can loop third-party lanyards through it as well, not just Apple's official lanyard
Oh, got it.
strap. We have a MagSafe battery for the 17 Air that attaches to the back, but because it's so tall and thin, it doesn't fit any other model of iPhone, just the 17 Air. They describe it as the 17 Air battery pack, and that is the only one it fits, which is a mild disappointment. I think a lot of people were wishing for Apple to like update the MagSafe battery pack accessory so they could buy it for their, you know, iPhone 16 or 17 Pro. I was one of those people, but no dice. It is just for the 17 Air.
Yeah, that seems a bit of a lost opportunity maybe, but
I can see where they're coming from. They want to make it as thin as possible, and to make it as thin as possible, they have to make it as tall and wide as possible. And the 17 Air is the only phone that has had that much open space on the back without a, you know, camera bump.
yeah.
Except
yeah.
maybe for the 16E, but the 16E doesn't have MagSafe, so.
There's going to be no shortage of batteries anyway, isn't it? Compatible
Yeah.
with these new phones, so.
We talked on this show about like these new Anchor MagSafe battery packs that are also pretty thin and light and fit on modern iPhones. So third parties can step in there. This is kind of interesting. During the event, they were really coy about talking about the battery life on the iPhone. They were like, John Turner was like, now let's talk battery life. It has battery life. They're like, oh God, how's it going to be? How bad is it going to be? It's kind of perplexing because it actually doesn't have that much worse battery life than you would expect. If you look on Apple's website, and they don't have very good specs for this, they only measure battery life in hours of streamed video playback. But based on that metric, the 17 Air has the same battery life as the iPhone 16 Pro. Both of them cite 22 hours of streamed video playback. So I don't know why they were so coy about it. If it's actually
it's pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, it's the exact same as their flagship phone of the previous year.
And if this is isn't it a different kind of battery? Is it a new battery?
I think it's a new battery chemistry or some new battery technology because all of the Apple devices got significantly better battery life this year. All of the iPhone lineup, the Apple Watch got the first battery life increase that it has ever had on the regular series models. The AirPods have better battery life. I think they switched to a new battery chemistry. Apple was also really coy about this. They just said they re-engineered the battery architecture or something vague like that. But
because there was all these old rumors about how it was going to be a solid state battery, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think these might be like partially solid state batteries in some way or another. They're teardowns will probably reveal more answers to these questions, but new battery chemistry.
I mean, it's such an important. This is one of the things that people are most worried about, isn't it? This is the one feature that people want Apple to improve, is battery life. It's like the one thing that comes up over and over. And if they have a new kind of battery, it's surprising they didn't make more of a bigger deal out of it. They didn't talk about it.
They're just shy about like going into too many technical details. They just want to talk about it in terms of this device has 8 more hours of battery life than the model it replaces.
Yeah, and that was a really packed event anyway. I mean, it was like bang, 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 bang. It was so fast that
it was really short too. Like it was, they had similar amount. I know that point lost on the prediction game, but they honestly had more that they announced this year than last year, and the event was shorter by like 20 minutes.
Yeah, it was snappy. It was good. I really enjoyed it. I liked it a lot.
In terms of colors, we have colors inspired by the concept of lightness. So we have sky blue, light gold, cloud white, and black.
You could barely call them colors.
Yep, barely colors.
Which color do you like the best?
I'm not especially taken by any of them. I ordered an iPhone Air in the light gold color. I'm going to see how that looks. The colors on the glass colors on the back are very pale, but the shiny edges around look kind of vibrant. So I think the gold might have an attractive look to it.
I think white's a good color. You can never really go wrong with a white iPhone, I don't think.
If I were ordering this personally for myself, I would probably get either the white or the black. But if I'm buying a product to review, I feel compelled to like get one of the colors so I can talk about the colors more with my hands-on experience for the people who like colors. So I felt compelled to get either the blue or the gold, and I'm going to go for the one that's closer to the hues of tans and browns that is my favorite. So yeah, light gold. We'll see how that looks. $999 for 256 gigabytes. So it takes the slot of the Pro phone price-wise and bumped up in storage.
That's a base storage, isn't it, for across the whole lineup? Everything is now the 256 minimum, and that's a pretty good. That's not a bad size, is it? I mean,
it's excellent. I think a lot of people who have pretty light needs are easily going to fit within 256 gigabytes.
Yeah,
I think that is one of the sleeper hits of the year, really.
Yeah. What did you think of the phone, Lewis? Were you tempted by it?
I thought that the way that they introduced it was brilliant. I loved the video that they had. Made me definitely want one immediately. It was just the whole way that they made it look. Oh, it's so light that it floats, and it. That was a really great introduction. I mean, I complain about them doing these pre-recorded things, but that was pretty beautiful. It's tempting to get the phone just because who wouldn't like a more lightweight phone? I got the Pro in my back pocket all the time. It always feels like I got something substantial back there. Then again, the lack. I think the biggest thing for me is the lack of camera on the back. The well, the new one has an 8x camera, right? And this thing has what, 2x? I mean, that's not much of a zoom. I kind of like having a zoom available. I mean, I regularly use a 5x zoom just to be able to read a bar menu, a beer menu in a bar. So, I mean, it's true. It's almost like a geriatric beer help.
5x zoom.
Yeah. I mean,
Can you just hold the menu closer?
no, like, you go to one of these great bars like, Holy Water up here on Cortland. They've got the rotating taps, and they're all on little signs that are about the size of a license plate or something with little writing that explains what it is. If I'm standing if that bar is busy and I'm standing at the back, I have to use a 5x zoom to get, well, maybe not 5, but more than 2 to get a nice, and then you can see what the beers are. It's nice. So.
That's a very specific use case. to be
Yeah,
honest.
unfortunately, I use it a lot. But
Right. Yeah. Well, but the cameras though are great, aren't they? I mean, in the 16E, I mean, you tested it out, Griffin.
Yeah, it's
a
great
good
so long as you
camera.
don't want to zoom it in, but whenever you do, then you're just kind of at a loss.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really lament the ultra wide too much. I know like a lot of Gen Z like the ultra wide camera, but I don't really use it too often. Honestly, I think it's kind of annoying when you're trying to take a regular picture of something like on a table and it switches to the ultra wide camera but zooms in and crops it and makes it uglier. Like just because the main 1x lens doesn't have a very good like minimum focus distance, but like yeah, the zoom, if you ever take like zoomed in pictures with the telephoto like the 5x, that's really the biggest draw of this phone in my opinion. I don't like how it doesn't have the telephoto zoom. I also don't like how it's even bigger than the regular one. I mean, I understand they have to maximize like the length and height of
Right.
it to fit as big of a battery in it as they can. Like if they made it as, narrow and short as I wanted it, it would probably get like half the battery, but that's an unfortunate side effect.
yeah, you want like a credit card size phone. But that's a good point. It is bigger than the Pro, like dimension wise.
And I really think that the current 6.3 inch size of the Pro is like, it's on the fence of being too big.
Right.
It is like just barely small enough to really be tolerable for someone who likes to use their phone one-handed. So although I'm very excited to like try it out, because I bet it will feel excellent in the hand just because of how thin it is. I guess I should also point out, it isn't quite as light as I think a lot of people were hoping. It is a little heavier. It's about the same weight as the iPhone 12. Not the 12 Pro, but the iPhone 12, like the aluminum one from 2020. I was kind of expecting it to be a little lighter, but a lot of its volume is occupied by battery, and the battery is probably very dense in this thing. So
Yeah. I wish you could see this before you have to order it, especially for us, like, the pre-order types, the ones who have to get it straight away. I'm very sort of nervous about pulling the trigger before actually checking it out. Like you said, I think the screen size is one of the things that I prefer a smaller phone. Even though I'm using a Pro Max right now, I'd like to go smaller. And will that, will it make that much of a difference between 6.5 inches and 6.3 inches? Actually, probably it would, wouldn't it? Like smaller is better. But yeah, I definitely want to check it out before buying it. So it's a shame. I don't know what to do. Like pre-orders start tomorrow, don't they? So I'm not gonna. I have no idea what I'm gonna order. No idea at all.
I mean, they keep an amount of stock in the store. So if you go, they have some reserved for the people who just walk in and want to try before they buy.
Yeah,
If
right.
especially in San Francisco, you're very lucky.
Yeah.
If you go to your nearest Apple store, you can pick both of them up and see. Oh yeah, I want this one more. Or you'll be able to
true.
make that decision.
Yeah, maybe I'll skip the pre-ordering this year. Then I'll have to get up at 5 a.m.
Wow, that sounds appealing, actually. But
I mean,
yeah,
I think the ultimate question is the Air a better addition to the line, more valuable to the lineup than a potential 17 Plus would be? I mean, if you liked the Plus model because you just want the biggest screen without spending a lot of money, yeah, this doesn't really fill all of those requirements, and it probably has worse battery life than a 17 Plus would have had. But honestly, I think it's better because it diversifies the lineup much more. Instead of having 4 basically the same phones, you now have one that is markedly different, makes a completely different set of trade-offs, has a different philosophy to it. You ultimately have more choice now than I think you would have had before. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's actually exciting for the first time in a little while. There's an exciting new iPhone.
Right. And then, of course, there was a lot of speculation that this is obviously a trial run for the folding phone coming next year. This is Apple, testing out the components, the design, the durability. I'm sure there's all kinds of stuff they're going to learn over the next year or so before they trot out the iPhone. The supply chain, getting all the components lined up, making the manufacturing is all nice and clear. It's obviously a trial run for the folding phone.
And the thing about that is that like a folding phone would have to make fewer trade-offs than the Air had just because it would have more surface area to work with, not just screen space, but also a folding phone would have room for the extra cameras on the back. It would have room for more speakers. The folding phone, although it'll fold into a mini iPad, will feel more like a premium pro phone than this one will.
Yeah. I saw people but you mentioned the stereo speakers. That people were losing their minds on the socials about the fact that it only has a mono speaker that doesn't have stereo speakers. It was like, oh my god, I can't believe they did this. Like who's going to pay that kind of money for a premium phone and that without stereo speakers? But like, when was the last time you used the speakers for anything except like maybe the ringtone or?
Young people will just play TikTok over their phone speaker as entertainment. So. That is actually a downside if you don't have AirPods and you just want.
Can you actually hear? Does there any stereo separation on the stereo speakers on?
I don't think I don't think they're complaining so much about stereo separation as they are about like it'll probably have lower volume and lower audio quality.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
It has only speakers at the top, right? Like where the ear.
Yeah,
It doesn't have them at the
ear
bottom
speaker.
of the phone. And same thing. I think microphones are like only less microphones, right? So it has built-in microphones at the bottom and built-in microphone at the top.
Okay.
So
it has three.
three.
That's not that.
Yeah.
It's probably the same as the 17, honestly.
And one built-in speaker at the top and no speaker at the bottom.
People are also losing their mind about the off-center USB-C port. That was causing a major meltdown.
Yeah. I mean, I'll admit I wasn't a fan of the off-center USB-C port when it was on the iPhone XR, but I think it's more obvious why it needs to be off-center this time, just because they have to make room for the screen on top of it, and they've only got a few millimeters of wiggle room to play with, so it makes a little more sense on this phone.
It kind of also makes. I wonder whether they'll ditch the port altogether on the folding phone. Surely that's a limiting factor, right? That's got to be one of the factors in determining how thin it is. And I wonder if you got rid of it, could you go much thinner?
Only one of the halves of the phone has to have the port on it. Maybe the other flipping part that flips out, or like the lid of it, is going to be even thinner than that.
Well, do you think it would be? Yeah, I would have thought they would have been symmetrical, but maybe.
There's no reason why it has to be symmetrical.
True enough, right?
Yeah, it'd just feel weird in your hand if the two sides weren't the same thickness, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and it would be completely lopsided, wouldn't it? It wouldn't be balanced.
Well, Apple doesn't have any problem making phones that are lopsided and when you sit them on a table, anyways.
Right. Yeah. I saw people doing the wiggle test or whatever it is. They put it down on a flat surface, and of course the thing's wobbling everywhere like a weeble. Yeah, and the one thing. Did you talk about the price? $999.
$999 takes the spot of the 16 Pro.
Well, by the time you add the battery, though, it's actually going to be $1,100.
Same price. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder what percentage of people go ahead and put that in the bag.
And the strap.
85%. I don't know. I'll be very curious to see if the straps catch on.
Yeah, so I guess I should say I ordered a 17 Air to review, and I bought all the accessories: the battery, the strap, the clear case, the bumper case. It actually adds up to like what, $1,400 after tax. Like, these things are expensive.
Yeah.